$500 per game. That's what the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders were getting paid. And yet they trained like Olympic athletes, 40 hours a week, emotionally and physically dedicated for a job that paid next to nothing. Watching their Netflix series blew my mind and made me think, as writers, are we willing to show up with that kind of discipline, even when the paycheck doesn't match the hours? Hey, Scribe, Sarah here, and welcome to the Right Podcast. I'm so glad you're here and spending this time with me. Because you are here, that tells me that you're a writer. Whether you're dreaming of becoming one or you've just started penning your first novel, or maybe you've already written and published a dozen novels, you are a writer and you're in the right place. This show was made for you, my friend. I know cheerleading, especially at a professional level, can be seen as objectifying. And yes, the outfits and presentation are part of a very specific brand. But what struck me while watching the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders wasn't the image, it was the passion. These are smart, driven women. Many of them are studying or working full-time jobs and training 40 hours a week just to earn a spot on that field. They wouldn't be there if they didn't absolutely love it. Watching people do something they're deeply passionate about, whether it's dancing, performing, or writing, moves me every single time. And then it hit me. In season 1, they reveal that the cheerleaders get paid just $500 per game. That's it. And yet they are training 40 hours a week, practicing for hours every day, traveling, performing under pressure, and keeping themselves in peak condition mentally and physically. 40 hours a week for a part-time job that barely covers their petrol money. But they weren't doing it for the paycheck. They were doing it for the dream, the experience, the passion, the hope that it would open new doors, the sense of pride of doing something elite. And I sat there thinking, isn't that exactly what we do as writers? There's a scene where one of the girls breaks down crying during a rehearsal. She's exhausted. Her body hurts. She's giving everything, her time, her weekends, her relationships to this one dream, and it's barely paying her anything. Most people would look at that and say, why would you bother? Why sacrifice so much for so little return? But that's the thing. They weren't doing it for the money. They were doing it for the love, for the chance to be great, for the opportunity to perform at the highest level, for the identity that comes with saying, I'm one of the best at what I do. And honestly, that kind of commitment reminded me of so many writers I know, including myself. As writers, we often treat our writing like a side hustle, or worse, a hobby we squeeze in when everything else is done. We want to be published. We dream of readers lining up at signings, but we don't always show up with the kind of focus or respect we'd give a job or a sport or even a volunteer role. But here's the thing. If you want to make it in this industry, whether you're going traditional or indie, you've got to show up like a professional long before the paycheck arrives. And let's be real, most of us are earning less than those cheerleaders in the beginning, but that doesn't mean we're not building something powerful. Because where they were performing, we are creating, and creation is a long game. You're building an asset. Here's the part that really excites me, and I hope it lights a fire in you too. We're not just doing gigs that end when the curtain falls. We are creating intellectual property. Books are assets, real long-term income-generating assets. Once you publish a book, whether traditionally or independently, You've created something that can keep working for you for years, even decades. I published my novel, The Brothers of Brigadier Station, back in 2017, and I still receive income from it today, 7 years later. That book continues to sell while I sleep, while I'm coaching, while I'm off running retreats, or writing the next book. And here's the really powerful part. You can multiply that income from the same book without writing a new one. Let me give you some examples of how I've done that. Translations. I had my books translated into German and Portuguese, and now I'm reaching entirely new readers in different countries. Those editions bring in income every single month. I'm planning to expand into French, Italian, and Dutch translations next. And with the help of AI, this is easier than ever before. Audiobooks. We're living in the golden age of audio. I mean, you're listening to me right now. If you've written a novel, you can turn it into an audiobook, either by narrating it yourself or working with a professional narrator. I hired the beloved Australian actor Miles Pollard, who played Nick in McLeod's Daughters, to narrate the Brigadier Station books. And because of our collaboration, we got a lot of media attention. And the audiobooks are still doing very, very well years later. So creating audiobooks mean that now you've got a whole new product to sell on Audible, Spotify, and so much more. Special editions, hardcovers, box sets, large print editions. These all allow you to sell something new to your audience and bring in extra income from your existing work. Recently, I bundled my 4 Brigadier Station books into a special edition hardback with embedded edges, and these sell really well at in-person events and book signings. So one book, it's not just one income stream, it's many. But none of these opportunities happen if you don't first finish and publish the book. It starts with you deciding to take your writing seriously, not someday, now. Because unlike the cheerleaders who get paid only when they show up, we create something that can pay us forever. This episode is proudly sponsored by the Sunshine Coast Fiction Festival, one of the most exciting new events on the Australian literary calendar, and I'm thrilled to say I'm hosting it. Join myself and over 80 other authors and vendors for a 3-day festival of creative inspiration, community and conversations at Venue 114 in Bocarina, just minutes from the beach and surrounded by the vibrant writing culture of the Sunshine Coast in Queensland. Whether you're a brand new writer dreaming up your first novel or an established author wanting to connect and learn and celebrate this wild creative life, we've got something for you. And bring all your bookish and reader friends too. The weekend is devoted to bookish fun and your chance to meet and chat with authors of all fiction genres, including romance, science fiction, fantasy, crime, and children's. There'll be workshops, panel discussions, author Q&As, and plenty of time to mingle and network and get inspired. You'll hear from some of the biggest names in fiction, including Stephanie Holmes, who's a USA Today best-selling author of dark, delicious fantasy. A.K. Mulford, a Sunshine Coast local who writes fantasy novels, rom-coms, and she's a BookTok star with a heart for magical stories. Rachel Johns is one of Australia's favourite authors of women's fiction and rural romance. Cadence Snow, she's a beloved in the indie romance scene for her gripping and emotional stories. And T.L. Swan, queen of spicy international bestsellers with legions of devoted fans. And Candice Fox, award-winning crime writer and screenwriter whose thrillers you cannot put down. And of course, I'll be there too. Not just as your host, but with my own table at the signing, ready to chat, sign books, and cheer you on wherever you are in your writing journey. This is your chance to meet some of your favorite authors, connect with other passionate readers and writers, and soak up an atmosphere of creative energy that will stay with you long after the day ends. Tickets are already selling fast, and this is a 3-day event. So if you're thinking about coming, don't wait. The Sunshine Coast Fiction Festival is proudly sponsored by Serenade Publishing, the Queensland Writers Centre, the Sunshine Coast Libraries, and Baventi. Head to sunshinecoastfictionfestival.com.au to check out the full program and book your ticket now. I can't wait to see you there. So let's talk about how to do that. How do you start showing up like a pro? Here are some ways to shift from hobbyist to career writer. Set office hours, even if it's just 1 hour a day. You wouldn't show up late to a shift at work. You wouldn't forget to go to a client meeting, so treat your writing the same. Set a time, show up, keep the appointment. Track your writing hours, not just your word count. The cheerleaders weren't measured in how many flips or kicks they did. They trained for hours. Writing is no different. Some days you might write 100 words, others 2,000. What matters is consistency. Keep investing in your craft. They trained like elite athletes. You need to train like an elite storyteller. Read craft books, join a workshop, hire a coach, get feedback, stay teachable. Remember the long game. Writing and publishing is not a quick win. It's a long arc. One book builds the next. One fan becomes a reader for life. Think beyond the launch. Think about the career. Now, here's the truth that most people won't tell you. Most writers don't stop because they run out of ideas. They stop because they run out of belief. Belief in themselves, belief in the process, belief that it's worth it. But what if the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders quit when they weren't getting paid enough? What if Olympic athletes only trained after they won gold? What if founders only built companies once they had investors? You have to believe first. You have to act like a writer, even if no one's buying your books yet, even if you're not making a cent. Because those early days, they're not wasted time. They're training. They're the proving ground. So if you're sitting there wondering if it's worth it, if it's ever going to pay off, if you're wasting your time, let me say this. You're not behind. You're in training. Every sentence, every scene, every moment you choose to stay at your desk instead of walking away, that's you getting stronger. You may not be getting paid much now, but one day, that book will pay you again and again. It will find readers who love it. It will become a part of your body of work. And when that happens, you'll look back and be so proud that you kept going. So here's what I want you to ask yourself this week. Am I treating my writing like a hobby, something I love but only prioritize when it's convenient? What would change if I showed up like this was already my career? And here's your challenge. Give your writing 1 professional hour each day this week. No distractions, no scrolling, no dabbling, just you and your work. See how that changes your momentum. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribe to the podcast and shared this episode with your writer friends. You can find me, my books, and lots of free resources at serenadepublishing.com. Until next time, my friend, keep writing, keep showing up, because your stories matter and you are building something powerful.